Feel like the world's spinning out of control? AI's taking over. Jobs are shape-shifting. Information and choices and distractions are endless, and we're drowning in a sea of uncertainty. It's like, does anything even matter anymore? Or are we just living in a simulation? But what if I told you that mastering just 3 game-changing skills can make everything else fall into place? Most people are chasing the wrong things, but these 3 skills will change your life. If you're new here, I'm David. I went from a staff machine learning engineer in Silicon Valley to retiring a millionaire in my early 30s. Now, I invest in real estate and equities while living life on my own terms. Let's dive right in. Seriously, doesn't it feel like knowledge is basically free these days? Anything you ever want to know is just a click away. We're swimming in an ocean of endless info. With all this information, the real challenge isn't knowing the answers. The real superpower is in asking those killer questions that unlock superior insights. That's why skill number 1 is asking powerful questions. And I'm going to show you how to craft questions that separate you from the pack. Now, this skill goes beyond just AI, but let's be real. You gotta nail the art of asking your AI assistants the right questions. The ChatGPTs of the world are powerful, but if you keep asking dull questions, you'll get generic answers anyone could find. First off, you'll need to learn a few prompt engineering techniques. Instead of spending hours on prompt engineering courses, just follow this simple 5-step framework. Let's say you want to grow your online bakery business. In step 1 of the framework, give your AI a persona, which is a role to assume, like this. You are a seasoned business strategist specializing in e-commerce and food delivery. You are data-driven and creative. Step 2, set the context by sharing your goals, situation, and constraints. For example, we're a local online bakery delivering fresh cookies and pastries. We are facing tight budgets and fierce competition. We want to boost sales and expand our digital presence. Step 3, toss in some references, which are examples for inspiration. For instance, check out how other successful online food businesses grew their customer base. Step 4, evaluation time. Ready to play the judge? This is where you give the AI feedback. For example, you could say, solid marketing overview, but where are the juicy ideas for growing our Instagram account? And finally, step 5, iteration. This is where you level up your prompt and repeat. Try something like this. Based on my feedback, refine the growth strategy and break down each point into actionable steps. Once you master the 5-step framework, here are some killer rules to supercharge your AI prompting skill. Rule number 1. Demand excellence. Don't settle for mediocre answers. Just keep looping through the evaluate and iterate steps in the earlier framework until you receive truly insightful answers. And don't hold back, seriously. Unlike your human assistants, ChatGPT is not going to roll its digital eyes at you. It's built for this. Rule number 2, ditch the answering machine mindset. Your AI assistant is much more than that. Think of it as your personal Swiss Army knife, a teacher, a mentor, your creative sidekick, your business partner in crime, your ultimate brainstorming buddy, the list goes on. This mindset change will unlock a whole new dimension of questions, the ones you wouldn't think to ask otherwise. Finally, rule number 3 is the ultimate rule. Embrace what I call meta questions. Basically, when you're unsure what to ask, just ask your AI to suggest questions or prompts for you. For instance, you could request, generate a list of thought-provoking questions about personality theories, or design a good AI prompt to help me grow my new YouTube channel. Next level lazy, right? But with meta questions, you have no excuse to write poor prompts anymore. The tips you've just picked up will level up your AI game, no doubt. But great questions aren't just for robots. Start asking yourself powerful questions right now. For instance, I'm all about making life easier. When staring down a monster task, I often ask, what would this look like if it were really easy? And if I only had half the time, how would I do this? I'm often amazed at what I come up with, from cutting redundant steps, automating tasks, paying for tools, outsourcing, to just saying, good enough, and moving on. Now, for the daily grind, I ask, what's the one thing I can do today that'll give me 80% of the impact? Or which one thing will still make a difference 6 months from now? Those questions help me realize most tasks are just a waste of time. Great questions bring clarity. When I have doubts about my pursuits, I ask myself, if I don't make any money doing this, will I still do it? That's what I ask lately about doing YouTube. For now, the answer is still yes. And finally, questions are your instant emotional reset button. Stress and anxiety kicking in, ask, what is the worst that could happen? Regrets and losses weighing you down, ask, will this matter 5 years from now? Would this change my life's outcome meaningfully? I mean, it sucks to lose money on crypto, have things stolen from you, miss out on a big opportunity. But more often than not, it doesn't really matter in the end. Nothing cuts through the noise quite like a gut check question. If there's one thing that defines the modern world, it's an overload of choices and endless distractions. So the second skill you need is remove and filter, cutting out the non-essentials from your life. Not only will I show you what to ditch, but I've got some killer tools to help you Marie Kondo your life. First up, you want to ditch the distractions. Let me ask you a question first. If you want to eat healthy, is it easier to constantly try to resist bad food, or is it easier to just not stock junk food around the house? The latter, right? I can't recall a time a bag of chips lasted more than a couple of days in my house. Likewise with distractions, you gotta nip them in the bud. Now here's a hit list of distractions and some ninja moves to shut them out. First, you want to control in-app distractions. Does this sound familiar? You open Gmail or YouTube to do some work, but then, boom, distractions flood in. I mean, if your YouTube feed looked like mine, you'd have to click to see why this sweet girl chopped off her hubby's thingy, right? Then, of course, you'd also need to know why this innocent-looking pharmacist lady wants to terminate her spouse, right? The best fix for in-app distractions? Compartmentalization. Just set up separate accounts for different activities. On YouTube, I use different accounts for work, content creation, learning, sports, and of course, juicy drama. Or, if that feels too much work for you, at least try using YouTube in incognito mode. Even better, why not just block the biggest time sucker apps in the first place? You know, apps like TikTok, Instagram, even YouTube much of the time. Think of them like junk food. It's easier to just lock up the pantry and toss the key. Use BlockSite on your laptop browser and install the AppBlock app on your phone, which can block apps for a few hours while you work. And finally, of course, the notifications. Make Do Not Disturb mode your phone's new best friend. And while you're at it, turn off notifications for most apps. Yes, even emails. Better yet, stash your phone somewhere else while working, because apparently when nearby, my phone is like a magnet. My hand just gravitates towards it for no reason at all. So out of sight, out of mind. All right, so you've blocked the distractions. The next step is to ditch the time suckers that give you nothing back. In other words, the low return on investment activities. Some of them will surprise you. All right, confession time. I used to be a huge Netflix binger. After a grueling workday, I just wanted to chill, fight off boredom, and soothe my soul with endless episodes of Squid Game, Stranger Things, Ozark, you name it. I mean, it's cheaper than therapy and less work than a puppy, right? But I found out I can replace them with more rewarding stuff that hits the same psychological sweet spots. Think game nights, poker with friends, or finally learning that instrument you've always wanted to play. Seriously, my evenings have been 1,000,000 times better since I picked up the piano. Or how about learning a new language? Apps like Tandem are awesome for chatting with native speakers, or podcasts and audiobooks. Way less addictive than binging Netflix and TikTok, but still super engaging. Now, if I really want to watch a movie, I rent it. Yeah, it can cost more than a streaming subscription, but like they say, penny wise, pound foolish, right? That cheap subscription, it's going to cost you way more in wasted time. Now, even when something makes you money, it might still be a waste of your time. I used to do a ton of side hustles, for example, data annotation and gigs training AI to code. Extra cash is never bad, right? Wrong. Those gigs were massive time sinks, and honestly, they added absolutely nothing to my life. I value my time much higher than what those gigs offered. After all, we only have 24 hours in a day, right? Seriously, juggling multiple income streams isn't as glamorous as it sounds, unless of course that money comes in while you're snoozing. Sometimes even your hobbies turn out to be major time suckers. If they're not adding value or sparking joy anymore, you've got to trim the fat. I used to hit the pickleball courts 5 days a week. Now, 1 or 2 max. Those 3 extra days I cut, didn't miss them at all. And finally, let's talk about people. You know who I'm talking about. The energy vampires, the time thieves, the drama magnets, the manipulators and gaslighters. They all gotta go. Same goes for that date who's flaked twice, always with some emergency, or that employee who treats instructions like suggestions. Seriously, cut them loose. Life is too short. Has it hit you that we live in the golden age of not doing things yourself? Software's AI, freelancer platforms, they got you covered. If you still insist on doing everything yourself, you are bound to lose the game and get left behind. That's why skill number 3, the absolute MVP, is using leverage. But it's not just about being lazy smart. I'll show you the game-changing mindsets and tools that will turn leveraging into a superpower. Mindset number 1, if a task falls outside of your hedgehog zone, consider outsourcing it. Ask yourself, am I the best person for this? Is this the highest impact use of my time? Do I even like doing this? Or could someone or something do it faster, better, cheaper? Bottom line, do what you do best and outsource the rest. Hate cooking and cleaning? Hire someone or get meal delivery. Running a YouTube channel but video editing makes you want to cry? Hire an Upwork editor. Learning something new? Just ditch the struggle and grab an app. I finally stopped procrastinating on piano once I found the Simply Piano app. Or are you creating content but clueless about marketing? Consult AI or hire a growth strategist. Look, I get it. Those investments might sting a bit, but they free you up to do what you do best, which leads to massive wins. And remember, don't cheap out on quality. As they say, if you think it's expensive to hire a pro, just wait until you hire an amateur. The second mindset for using leverage is thinking in scale. Most people think linearly. Put in X effort, get X return. No scale, no leverage. Think about it. When your output is directly tied to hours worked, you hit a hard limit, 24 hours a day. But with leverage, you can decouple effort from output and break that ceiling. So how do we scale up output? Remember 2 magic words, delegate and automate. Delegation is simple. Get someone or something else to do it. Employees, freelancers, AI assistants, take your pick. It's never been easier to delegate. Just remember the mantra, do what you do best, and delegate the rest. Meanwhile, automation means you set it up once and let it run on autopilot. Picture a factory. Assembly lines, everyone knows their job, and machines handle most of the work. Now, apply that to your life. You can build a content creation factory, an e-commerce factory, and of course, a personal productivity factory. In that productivity factory, build an assembly line for task management. Automate reminders, schedule grocery deliveries, and set up recurring supply orders. Then set up a financial assembly line. Automate payments, track subscriptions, get stock alerts, even set up automatic trades. While you're at it, add a research pipeline too, where info you need is automatically scraped and summarized. I use Python and ChatGPT API to filter and summarize news every few days. You can also use Google Alerts, pay for scrapers, or even hire a research assistant. So that's how to scale up output. But to truly scale, don't just increase output. You want to also maximize return. Imagine you run a podcast. Output is how many episodes you create. Return is how much time people actually spend listening. To scale return, focus on growth and reach. For growth, invest in assets that compound, like low-fee index funds that snowball over time, or content businesses that explode through network effects. Expertise and reputation can also scale exponentially, but only if you claw your way to the top, no participation trophies. Now, for reach, go for massive audiences. The larger your consumer base, the bigger the return. Platforms are your best friends here. Whether you're podcasting on Spotify, teaching on Udemy, writing on Substack, sharing on OnlyFans, or selling artisanal ice cubes on Instagram, platforms got you covered. And if it's not obvious yet, there's never been a better time to scale. The tools we have today, they'd make our grandparents' heads explode. So if you're gonna do it, you might as well go big, because AI and platforms are basically handing you a cheat code to scale. And there you have it. 3 game-changing skills to absolutely crush it in today's world. If this video sparked something for you, smash that like button and subscribe for more. That really helps. Which skill hit home for you? Got a story to share? Drop them in the comments, I'd love to hear it. If this helps even one of you level up, my mission is complete. Thanks a million for hanging out. Go crush it out there, and I'll catch you in the next one.